Alright, wonderful people. At the grade 11s, we are still in Gen, and we will be completing part 1. I have about 8 problems with me here. Just for part 1, I have 8 problems. I'm going to solve 4, and I'm going to leave 4 for you. So I'm going to solve the first, the third, the 5th, and the 7th one. So they say, solve for x, round off to 2 decimal places where necessary. So what I'm going to do there in the very first one, we have x squared equals 5x minus 4. Let me see whether this is correct. Okay, it's fine. Let us continue with this, guys. So we have x squared equals 5x minus 4. And normally when they say round off your answer to 2 decimal places where necessary, they simply mean that you can't find the roots of this equation using factorization. You will have to rely on a quadratic formula. But let us try to write this in a standard form and see what we can get. So it's x squared minus 5x plus 4 equals to 0. Now remember, we take this to the other side. Both of these, it becomes negative, it becomes positive. Can I find the factors of 4 that can give me 5? Let's see, because we know that the factors of 4 that can give me 5, it's 4 and 1. X squared, the bigger number takes the sign of the middle term. This becomes negative, and if I multiply them, I should get a positive. Therefore this one also has to be negative, because only negative by negative will give you a positive. Minus 4 minus 1 is minus 5. So this can be factorized. So we can just say x minus 4 equals to 0, or x minus 1 equals to 0. We only do this if both that which is inside of the brackets is equated to 0. Therefore your x will be 4 or your x will be 1. Something worthy of noting. So that is fine. That was the first one. We can go to the third one. X open bracket x minus 4 equals to 5. So in here, what we can do when we multiply, we can have x squared minus 4x equals 5. So we can take this to the other side. X squared minus 4x minus 5 being equals to 0, because if this goes to that side, it becomes negative. Can we factorize this? Let's try and check. So we have x and x, the factors of 5 that can give you 4. It's 5 and 1, because 5 is a prime number. The bigger number takes the sign of the middle term. When I multiply the 2, I must get a negative. So because this is already negative, this one has to be positive. Minus 5 times 1 is minus 5. Minus 5 plus 1 is minus 4. We are very correct in this. So we can say x minus 5 equals to 0, or x plus 1 is equals to 0. Take to the other side, x equals 5, or x equals minus 1. Something very, very important for you to note. So thus far we have been fortunate to deal with the problems that one can be able to solve. There are some, of course, which are not as easy as these ones, but let us continue to move. Now let's look at the 5th one. X into x minus 1 is equals to 30. Now in here, what we are going to do is the same procedure as we did with the third one. Multiply x squared multiply minus x equals to 30. Take to the other side. Try and factorize 6 and 5. The bigger number takes the sign of the middle term. When you multiply them, you should get a negative. So because this is already negative, this one has to be positive. Minus 6 times 5 is minus 30. Minus 6 plus 5 is minus 1. So x minus 6 equals 0, or x plus 5 is equals to 0. Take to the other side. X is 6, or x is minus 5. Something worthy of noting. Right from there, I think I should solve the last one, which is the 7th one. And I'll leave the remaining ones for you. Should you ever struggle, I will leave my WhatsApp numbers so that we, in a chat group, we can try and discuss the solution of your problem. 3x plus 1 over x, this should give us 4. Now, the first thing that we need to do whenever we are dealing with a problem of this nature, where you have your x as a denominator, and this is an equation, we multiply everything by the denominator. What do I mean by that? You write your 3x, you multiply that by the denominator, plus you write your 1 over x, you multiply that by your denominator, you write down your 4, and the very same thing transpires. Multiply here 3x squared plus, do not forget that this x has a 1 as a denominator, so this is a numerator and a denominator, and they are identical. This into this goes once, you are left with 1. Something worthy of noting. Multiply 4x. I write in a standard form. 3x squared minus 4x plus 1 equals to 0. Now, when we are here, we will try and factorize this. Now, let's see if this can be factorized. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go into my computer in here, and I have a calculator, I know. FX 991ES plus. So I'm just going to say minus b, that would be 4, plus the square root of 4 squared minus 4 into a, it's 3, into c, it's 1, divided by 2 into a, it's 3. Now, yes, it can be factorized. So what we do in here, equal to 0, you have your 3x squared, you will write 3x and x. I find a value of 1 there. Where the coefficient of x is 1, go and write 1. But because it is a positive 1, you will write this as negative. Something worthy of noting. And now from the quadratic, I'm going to change the sign from positive to negative, and I get 1/3. Where the coefficient of x is 3, go and write a 1, and because your answer is positive 1/3, you will write this as negative. Now we say 3x minus 1 is 0, or x minus 1 is 0. Take to the other side, x equals 1/3, or x equals 1. And we are done. Thank you for watching, guys. Please do not forget to share, like, and subscribe. And I will see you after a short break. And welcome, grade 11s. We are still in Gen, but we will be looking at part 2 of our Gen tutorial. So this is what we have. There seems to be a little bit of the sun that's coming from the side. So these are the problems that we are going to deal with. So I'm going to solve the second, the fourth, and the 8th one, and I'll be leaving some of the problems here for you guys to enjoy. So let's just get right into this. So the problem says, let me just copy down the problem. The first one, solve for x, round off to 2 decimal places where necessary. We have 3 minus x, that should be less than 2x squared. Now immediately when something of this nature is provided to us, we need to regroup this. So there are plenty of ways in which we can do this. We can have the additive inverse of 3 and the additive inverse of minus x. So what I mean is, we have a 3 minus x. So the additive inverse of positive 3 is minus 3. And the additive inverse of minus x is positive x, less than, we have 2x squared. So what you did on the side, remember you had positive 3, you added the additive inverse, which is minus 3. The additive inverse of minus x is positive x. So what you did on the left, you're also going to do on the right. That's exactly what you do, because this is positive, this is negative, this is negative, this is positive. You have a 0, that should be less than 2x squared minus 3 plus x, which you can rewrite as 2x squared plus x minus 3. And then from here you look for the critical values where you equate this to 0. So you say 0 is equals to 2x squared plus x minus 3. And then from here you try to factorize, something worthy of noting. Now, how do we factorize in here? Now, I think in the previous tutorials I tried to show you guys. I just said you go into your calculator. Let me just do this very fast. So you know that you have the value of A, the value of B, and the value of C, and you plug these on your quadratic. So you would say minus 1 plus the square root of minus 1 squared is the same as 1 squared minus 4 into A, the value of A is 2, into C, the value is minus 3, and you divide this by 2A, which the value is 2, and you would get an answer of 1. That's the first answer that you get. It's a whole number, so it tells you that this number can be factorized. So this is what you will do. You have 2x squared, you will write 2x and x, so that 2x squared times x is 2x squared. And then because you have an answer of 1, it tells you where the coefficient of x is 1, go and write a 1. And because we found the answer as being positive, you write that as negative, something worthy of noting. And then you go again, you substitute a positive with a negative. So let's see what we will get by doing that. So let's just see. Let's just see. Right, let me just substitute with a negative, and we get negative 3.5. So the denominator is 2. It tells you where you have a coefficient of x as 2, go and write 3. But because you found your answer as negative 3.5, write that as a positive. And then you have your critical values, x being equals to minus 3.5, or x being equals to 1. So these are the critical values that you have. And then from here you can just draw up a number line. Always we are moving from negative to positive. and then we are moving from negative infinity is to minus negative 3.5. So negative infinity minus 3.5 minus 3.5 is to 1, because that's the boundary, and then 1 is to positive infinity. Now remember why I'm using these types of brackets. It says less there. If it was less or equal, then minus 3.5 and 1 would have been part of the solution, so they are not. And then from there we know what needs to be done. We draw up a table of values with this. So you would have negative infinity minus 3.5 minus 3.5 and 1 and infinity. When all this is done, you now take your two equations, this one and that one. So you will be writing them on the side here, 2x plus 3, x minus 1, and the multiplication of those two. Now here we're looking for a value that is less than minus 3.5. I think this should be let's just try and see. It's negative 1.5 minus 3.5. It's negative 1.5. What value is smaller than minus 3.5? Let's take minus 2. That should be a value that is less, right? Minus 3.5 is to 1. What value can you find in between those ones? Let's take 0. And then a number that is bigger than 1, let's take in 2. And now let's substitute in here. Where we see x, we plug in minus 2. So this would be minus 4 plus 3, that's a negative. 0, 2 times 0 into 3, that should give a positive. 2 times this, that should also give a positive. Minus 2 minus 1 is a negative. 0 minus 1, it's a negative. 2 minus 1, it's a positive. Multiply those two, multiply those two, multiply those two. Now remember what the original problem said. It said that 3 minus x should be less than 2x squared. Very, very important, and we wrote this in a standard form here. So we are looking for values of x that are, look here, 2x squared minus 3 plus x should be, this should be greater than 0. So meaning if it is greater than 0, we are looking where we are having positives. Where do we have positive? This one and that one. So these are the solutions that we have. So your solution would be negative infinity minus 3.5. Because we have more than one solution, we use the union symbol. 1 is to positive infinity, and this is exactly what we have, right? Be that as it may, let me take you to the third one. So in problem number 3, we have a 4 plus 5x that should be bigger than 6x squared. This is what we have. So what we're going to do from here is the same as we did in the first one, right? We can have the additive inverses of 4 and 5x. So the additive inverse of 4 is minus 4 plus 4. The additive inverse of positive 5 is minus 5x plus 5x greater than 6x squared. Now remember, you wrote this on the left and you also wrote this, so you just take them to the right. So you're just saying minus 4 minus 5x, something worthy of noting. Negative, positive, negative, positive. You are left with a 0, sorry, and this is what we have. We're having 6x squared minus 4 minus 5x. And then from here we can just calculate the critical values by equating this to 0. So 0 is equals to 6x squared minus 4x minus 5x. We can write this in a standard form. 6x squared minus 5x. Oh, sorry, this is not minus 4x. I'm very sorry. Minus 5x minus 4. And this is equals to 0. Now from here we need to factorize, and we need to be careful as to how the factorization might transpire. So this is A, this is B, and this is C. So I can just go to my quadratic equation and plug in those values. So I know it will say minus B, negative times negative is positive, that would be positive 5. Plus the square root of 5 squared minus 4 into A, it's 6, into C, it's minus 4, and I can divide this by 2. Into A, it's 6, and we get an answer of 4 over 3. So we get 4 over 3. Now because the denominator is 3, it tells you that you need to break 6 into 3 times 2. So this is what we're going to do. Because the denominator is 3, therefore we're breaking 6 into 3x and 2x. Where you have the coefficient of x as 3, go and write 4, but because our answer is positive, write this as a negative. This is a point worthy of noting. So it looks like in here we are only provided with factorization that would require that you must just use the quadratic formula on the side piece in the exam, because this can be factorized. Right, let's see the other answer. It's minus 1/2. So where the coefficient of x is 2, go and write 1, but because the answer is negative, write that as a positive. 3x equals 4, or 2x equals minus 1. X equals 4 divided by 3, or x equals minus 1/2. So this should be your values, right? So now you go into your number line. Remember, we are moving from negative to positive. Minus 1/2, 4 divided by 3. Now remember, as we always did, we are moving from negative infinity to this number. Minus 1/2, minus 1/2, 4 divided by 3. 4 divided by 3 is 2 infinity. And remember, because it says bigger than, therefore 4 divided by 3 and minus 1/2 are not part of your solution. And therefore, what are we going to do now? We're just going to draw up a table. Remember, this is how we do it. So we're having minus infinity, minus 1/2, minus 1/2, 4 divided by 3, and then we're saying 4 divided by 3 to infinity, right? And then from here, what is it that we do? We know this is minus 0.5. A number that is less than minus 0.5, let's take minus 1. A number between minus 1/2 and 4 divided by 3. Let's just do this. 4 divided by 3, that should give us 1 point something. 1.3. So what number is in between there? let's take 1. We can even take 1 there, because 1 is between. 1 is less than 1.3, so we can take 1. Somebody can take a 0, that is also fine. And then 4 divided by 3 is 1.3, so the number that is bigger we can take 2. Now let us write the equations now. We have 3x minus 4 and 2x plus 1, and the multiplication of those two. Right, and from there, what is it that we want to do? So we will say 3 into minus 1 minus 4, that should be a negative. This should be a negative as well, and this should be a positive. On this one, 2 into minus 1, a negative, a positive. 4 divided by 3 plus 1, in fact 2 into 2 plus 1, it's also a positive. This is positive, this is negative, and this is positive. So let us look at what the inequality says. It says this, look in here, this should be less than 0. This should be less than 0. So meaning we are looking for a solution where this is negative. And where do we get the negative? In here. So this is the solution. So the solution is minus 1/2 4 divided by 3. This is the solution that we have. Be that as it may, let's go to number 6. So in number 6 we're having the following. We have x plus 1, x minus 3 bigger than 12. So if this is what we have, we cannot immediately find the critical values because there's a value on that side. We will need to remove the brackets by multiplication. X times x, x squared minus 3x plus x minus 3 bigger than 12. Let's group the like terms. X squared minus 2x minus 3, bring this one to the other side, bigger than 0. You're having your x squared, you're having your minus 2x minus 15 bigger than 0. Can we factorize this? I think so, because the coefficient of x squared is 1. It becomes very simple. X and x, 15 should be 5 and 3. The bigger number takes the sign of the middle term. We dealt with this. If you don't understand, go back to our tutorials. And then when we are here, we can calculate the critical values. So x minus 5 equals 0, or x plus 3 equals to 0, 5 or minus 3. And then we will be fine. And then from here we can draw up a table of values. Remember, we are always moving from negative to positive. So negative infinity minus 3 and 5, 5 and infinity. And then from there what we can do is to say, okay, let me write down the equations. X minus 5, x plus 3, and the multiplication. And in here, negative infinity minus 3 and 5, 5 and infinity. Very good. A number that is less than minus 3 is minus 4. A number in between, I can even take a 4, a 0, and whatever. I can take a 6 there. Right, and then this would give you a negative. This should give you a negative as well. This should give you a positive. oh sorry, the number is 4. 4 minus 5, sorry, it's negative. 4 plus 3, it's positive. And 6 minus 5 is positive. 6 plus 3, positive. Multiply the 2, and remember what the inequality says. It says this should be positive, this should be positive, and there I have my positives. So the solution would be negative infinity minus 3. The union of 5 is to infinity, and that should be your solution. Very, very important that we understand this, right? And let's go to number 8. Right, number 8, we have x plus 2, x minus 3, less than minus 3x plus 2. And they say in 8.1, solve for x if this is less than that. And we don't have a problem with this. That's exactly what we want to do. We want to solve that. So how do we solve this? We will have to remove the brackets by multiplication. X times x is x squared minus 3x plus 2x minus 6, that is less than minus 3x plus 2. From here I can group the like terms. This is minus x minus 6 less than minus 3x plus 2. I can take this to the other side. X squared minus x minus 6 plus 3x minus 2 less than 0. And I can group the like terms. X squared plus 2x minus 8 less than 0. And I can calculate the critical values, and I can say x squared plus 2x minus 8 equals to 0. I can try and factorize this, and what I can find is x and x. The factors of 8 that can give me 2 is 4 and 2. The bigger number takes the sign of the middle term. I will find x equals minus 4 or x equals 2. And then I have minus 4 and 2. And what I can do is this. I have minus 4 and 2. Right, if this is fine, let me just zoom in a little bit. Very good. So I know that I'm moving from negative infinity is to minus 4. Minus 4 is to 2, and 2 is to infinity. Very, very good. And then from here, what I can do, I can write down the equations that I have, which is x plus 4 and x minus 2. X plus 4 and x minus 2. Those are the equations. X plus 4, x minus 2. Very good. And then from here I can write my negative infinities to minus 4. Minus 4 is to 2, and 2 is to infinity. Right, and then what I can do from here, I can substitute values. A value that is less than minus 4 is minus 5. In here, a value in between minus 4 and 2, I can even take 1, and there I can take 3. Minus 5 plus 4 minus 5 minus 2 minus, negative by negative positive, 1 plus 4 positive, 1 minus 2 negative, the multiplication is negative, 3 plus 4 positive, 3 minus 2 positive, the multiplication is also positive. Now I will go and check. Now if I go and check the original, what did it say? Let me just do this. It said that this, can you see this? This should be negative. This should be negative. Let's go and check where we're having a negative. There it is. Can you see this? So the solution is negative 4:2. That should be the solution for 8.1. And then we go to 8.2. Hence or otherwise determine the sum of all the integers satisfying that expression. The sum of all the integers that you might get from this. Now let us look at this. We have -4, -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. Right. And this is what we have. And we wanted the sum of these integers satisfying this. But remember, -4 and 2 are not part of the solution, so we cannot include them in here. So we will have to start from here and end in there, and we can calculate the sum of those integers. And we have somebody might say sum equals -3 -2 -1 plus 0 plus 1, and you would get -6. This is -6 plus 1, which is -5. Or somebody might say, okay, I'm having a sequence -3 -2 -1 0 and 1, and you just keep on adding 1 to this, and it's an arithmetic series. So somebody might say, how many numbers? 1 2 3 4 5. S5 equals n over 2 2a plus d into n minus 1. I'm calculating the sum of 5 numbers. The value of a is -3. The difference is 1. How many times? 5 minus 1. And let's see whether we will get the same value. So 5 over 2 minus 6 plus 5 minus 1 is 4. 5 over 2 minus 6 plus 4 is -2. Numerator, denominator, they cancel. 5 times negative is -5. That's exactly what we found in there. You see? So there are more than one way of looking into this, but that is fine. That is very, very much fine. So I think we are done in part 2. I will see you guys in part 3. Right, the grade 11s. Let's now look at part 3, 4, and part 5 in our Gen tutorial. So this is part 3, this is part 4, and this is part 5. As you can see, we will be looking at all this. Right, so what I'm going to do, because in part 3 we have 3 problems, I'm going to solve the third one, and I'm going to solve the first one, and I'm going to leave the second one for you. Right, so let me just go straight into this. So the first one, we have the following. They say to us, solve for x round off to 2 decimal places where necessary. Oh, sorry, I'm sorry. Look at part 1, part 3. We have 5 problems. So how about I solve the first, I solve the third, and I solve the 5th. I think I should solve those 3 and leave 2 for you. So I'm going to solve the first, the third, and the 5th.
Yeah, okay.
So we're having 2. Let me just zoom in a little bit. Very good. So we're having 2 times 3 exponent x equals 81 minus 3 exponent x. So this is how Jen had structured this problem. So what is it that we are going to do here? There's multiplication here. There's multiplication, and if there's multiplication, I cannot dissociate this. What I can do is to take these ones to the other side. So I'm having 2 times 3 exponent x. This is positive, it becomes negative. This is negative, it becomes positive, and I'm left with 0 on the right hand side if there's nothing left. And I can change 81 to write it with a base of 3, I think. So let me just try and see. 81 equals shift fact 3 exponent 4. 3 exponent 4 equals to 0. Can you see this? Now once that has been done, what is it that we can do here? I think what we can do, because I cannot take out a common factor y, there's 3 exponent x, and here these ones are separated. So what I can do, I can take this number to the other side. I think that would be fair. So 3x plus 3x equals 4. I can do this, and from here I can have, or I can say there's a common factor in here, which is 3 exponent x. I took out 3 exponent x in here, I'm left with 2. Addition sign, I already took 3 exponent x. When there's nothing left, you will always say there's a 1 there, something worthy of noting. And then I have 3 exponent x. 2 plus 1 is 3. 3 exponent 4. Can you see what is happening here? I can divide by 3. 3 exponent x. When I divide numbers of the same basis, I subtract the exponents. There are 4 of them in here, there's only 1. If you cancel 1, there will be 3 on top that are left. Very important, when the bases are the same, you equate the exponents. So your x becomes 3. Somebody might use a simpler way of looking into this. Remember, I'm trying to cover for both learners that are not very good in mathematics. That is why I try to do sometimes longer steps so that they can follow correctly. But if there's somebody who prefers a short method, you are more than welcome. And please always try to check the marks that are provided for these questions, so that you may not at some point lose some of the marks because you omitted some of the most important steps. So that would be the value of x for number 1. And I can go to number 3. And number 3, I have 2 x the square root of x equals 227. This is what I have, and I want to solve this. So how do I go about doing this? When the bases are the same, you equate the exponents. X the square root of x, 27. I can rewrite this as x 1/2, 27. There's a 1 there. When I multiply, I add 1 plus 1/2 x, 3 divided by 2. I can write 27 as a 3 to exponent 3. And I want to get rid of this. I will multiply by the reciprocal of this. So I have x 3.5. The reciprocal will be 2 divided by 3, which is equals to 3. Whatever that I did in here, I must also do it in here. Very, very good. This into this once, this into this once, you are left with your x. 3 numerator, 3 denominator, they will cancel. 3 squared is 9. And that should be the value of x. Simple things that just require the basics. And when that is done, let me go to the last one, which is the 5th one. So I'm just having 5 to the exponent of x 1 over 125. So this is what I have. I can rewrite this, because there's nothing I can do, but this can be written as 5 to the exponent of 3. And you can just find out this by saying 125 equals shift factor. So when that is done, you have a 5 exponent of x. You want to write this with a base and not having this 1 as the numerator. Remember what you do, you write the base of 5. When this goes on top, it becomes negative. And that's how you make that 1 to disappear there. I don't have time to go into the basics and show you all this. So you are in grade 11. I will assume that they have done justice upon you in the previous grades. So when the bases are the same, you would equate the exponent. So your x would be minus 3. And that brings us to the end of part 3. Let's go directly to part 4. So in part 4, there are 4 problems. I'm going to solve the first one and the third one, as I have showed you. So the first one, the square root of 2x plus 1 is equals to x minus 1. This is what we have. And what I need to do here is to get rid of the square root. And how do we do that? We square both sides. 2x plus 1, this tells me to repeat 2 times. Right, I'm having 2x plus 1, remove the brackets by multiplication, x squared minus x plus 1. I hope you see that. X times x, x squared, x times negative 1, negative x, negative 1 times x, negative times negative, positive. 2x plus 1, x squared, group the like terms, minus 2x plus 1. Take these ones to the other side. We already have x squared minus 2x plus 1. Take this to the other side. Take this to the other side, equate to 0. Group the like terms, x squared minus 2x is minus 4x, plus 1 minus 1 is a 0, so we don't have to even write that. And then from here, there's something common, which is x, the lowest exponent, which would be x to the exponent of 1. So x into x minus 4 equals 0. So I took 1x in here, I'm left with 1x. Subtraction sign, I took x in here, I'm left with 4. So x equals to 0 or x equals to 4. And what you need to do from here, because there was a square root, you need to check if both are part of the solution or one of them is part of the solution. By doing what? By substituting 0 where you see x, the left hand side has to be equals to the right hand side, or by substituting 4. I will leave that for you to figure out. Right, let me go to number 3. In number 3, we have 2, the square root of x minus 3 equals x minus 3. This is what we have. And the same procedure applies in here. We are going to square both sides. If you try to divide both sides by 2, you're going to get to come across some problems, because you will be having x minus 3 divided by 2, and that might be a little bit complex for you to figure out. So let's see how this works. So I'm going to repeat this 2 times so that you can see what is happening here. 2 x minus 3, 2 x minus 3. Repeat this 2 times. 2 times 2 is 4. The square root of x minus 3 times the square root of x minus 3 is x minus 3. Do you see that? Something worthy of noting. Let's remove the brackets. By now you understand x squared minus 3x minus 3x plus 9. I hope you follow. Multiply by removing the brackets. 4x minus 12 x squared, group the like terms. Take these ones to the other side. Let's first write this. This would be minus 4x plus 12. Because we have taken them to the other side, there's just a 0 left there. Group the like terms. Minus 6 minus 4 is minus 10. 9 plus 12 is 21. Try to factorize this if possible. 7 and 3, the bigger number takes the sign of the middle term. When I multiply them, I should get a positive. X equals 7 or x equals 3. And it is entirely your duty to check whether both are valid or only one is valid. I will leave that for you to ponder on. Right, that was number 3. So meaning I left number 1 and number 4 for you to do. And I will also leave my WhatsApp numbers for you guys to contact me whenever it is necessary. I'm not going to look at the simultaneous equation. I'm not going to look into that, but what I'm going to look at is question 3. So meaning in part 5, I want you to check. I'm not going to do number 1, it's simultaneous, and number 2, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do number 3, number 4, and number 5. So let's look into this. Let me show you the part that I'm talking about. This is the part. Very good. So let's look at number 3. Remember, I'm always trying to save a paper so that we can be able to continue with these tutorials. So they say consider the equation x squared plus 5xy plus 6y squared, that is equals to 0. And in 3.1 they say calculate the value of the ratio x divided by y. Calculate the value of the ratio x divided by y. So let's check if we can find that from this. Now, one thing worthy of noting, you have a square there and you also have a square here. So meaning you can factorize this. You have x squared, x and x. You have 6y squared, let's say 3y and 2y. Somebody might say 6y and y. We will check which ones are correct. And then from here, they are both positive. Please be careful. Therefore, both your brackets have to be positive. So remember, we are looking for the ratio of this, x divided by y. And this is equated to 0. We are also equating to 0. So x plus 3y equals 0, or x plus 2y equals to 0. Remember, we are looking for the ratio of x divided by y. X divided by y. Right, so take this one to that side so that you may have on this side, meaning you will be having 3y. Take this to the other side minus x. Right, you can divide by 3, divide by 3. This into this goes once, y equals minus x over 3. Now remember what they said, the ratio of x divided by y. That's exactly what they said. Now we shouldn't have done that. Can you see this? We shouldn't have done this. When we are here, what we should have done, once we have 3y equals minus x, what we can do is to divide by y, not by 3, because we are looking for this. So what I can do from here, I can divide by y, so that this into this goes once, you are left with a 3. And look at what you have, minus x over y. And they never said minus x over y. They said x divided by y. So you can multiply by -1, multiply by -1, so that you may have -3 is equals negative times negative is a positive, x over 1. So x divided by y is -3. So let's look at the second one. X plus 2y is equals to 0. So you will be having your 2y equals minus x. You can immediately do this in here so that you don't struggle. And this would give you minus 2y. And you can divide by y. And this into this will go once. Minus 2 equals x over 1. So these are the ratios that we have. It is very important that we understand what the question requires. All the time, it is very, very important. Alright, now that we have dealt with 3.1, we can go to 3.2. And they say, hence calculate the value of x and y if x plus y equals to 8. So they want the values of x and y if x plus y is equals to 8. So x plus y is equals to 8, and they want to find the value of x and y. Right, how do we do that? This is the question, how do we do this? So we are told that x plus y is equals to 8. And we can make x or y the subject of the formula in here. And I can take this one to the other side. X is equals to 8 minus 1. And where in this one, let me show you. Let me just zoom back a little bit. Right, so what I can do in here, I can calculate the value of where I see x. I can write this in this one. So let me write this one first, and then where I see x, I'll be writing this. But let me simplify this first by doing a cross multiplication, so that x equals minus 3y. So let me, where I see x, let me write 8 minus 1. Can you see this? So now take this to that side so that you can have 8 equals minus 3y plus y, and you will have minus 2y, and your y will be minus 4. We are fine with this. Right, this is the value of y. Okay, that is fine. So I want to show you something. I can go here. They said x plus y is equals to 8. I'm going to do this. So now I have the value of y as minus 4. This is the answer that I have. My x is 12 and my y is minus 4. And 12 minus 4 is truly equals to 8. So I can even come here. I can say in here minus 2 equals x over y. I can cross multiply. X equals minus 2y. And from here, in here where I see x, I can write this like, and I can just say 8 minus y equals minus 2y. Take this to the other side. 8 equals minus 2y plus y, and I can have minus y here. I can multiply both sides by -1, and I can have y equals minus 8. Can you see what is happening here? I can have my y equals minus 8, and I know that x plus y is equals to 8. And what I can do, where I see y, I can write minus 8. Take to the other side. 16. Can you see that? And this is true because 16 minus 8 will also give you an answer of 8. So you can have 4 different values: y minus 4, y minus 8, x 12, x 16. If you treat them separately, because you have 2 ratios of x divided by y. Okay, that's fine. Let's go to number 4. And in number 4, they say solve for x and y. This is simultaneous, and I don't want to involve myself in simultaneous. So I'm going to do number 5. So meaning I'm going to leave number 4 for you. Please try and do that simultaneous. This is very easy. As you can see, the bases are the same. You will just equate the exponent. That is why I don't want to involve myself in that. But I'm going to do number 5. So in number 5, we are given 2x plus 2 into x plus 2 equals minus 5y plus 20. And they say express 2 to the exponent of x in terms of y. Right, so meaning you must have 2 to the exponent of x equals something y. Okay, that is fine. So let's try to work on this one. So 2 to the exponent of x, remember this is the same as 2x, 2, so that when you multiply, you add. We dealt with this. Minus 5y plus 20. Go and look at the tutorials that we have on grade 11s and even the grade 12s. We dealt with this. So from here, we have a common factor, as you can see there, which is 2 to the exponent of x. I took 2 to the exponent of x in here. When there's nothing left, you will always say a 1, because 2 to the exponent of x times 1 is this. This is what I'm trying to say. We took 2 to the exponent of x and we are left with 2 squared, which is 4. And you have your minus 5y plus 20. This is 5 minus 5y plus 20. You can divide by 5. This into this goes once. This into this goes once, minus y plus 4. So I have written 2 to the exponent of x in terms of y. This is very, very important. Right, be that as it may, we can go to 5.2. How many solutions of x will the equation have if y equals minus 4? So if y equals minus 4, let's check. Minus into minus 4 plus 4. We will have positive, which will be 4 plus 4, which is 8. I can write 8 as 2 to exponent of 3, so it will have only one solution.